Alright, so here's the deal. You guys already know that I have freckles already, so what I'm going to do is cover them up and then put them back on. First, I'm going to start with my skincare, as always, with some virgin coconut oil. Then I'm going to add some MAC Mineralized Eye Cream under my eyes, and then top it all off with the Boots Radiance Balm. In one of my previous videos, I said that the Boots Radiance Balm I thought was only available in the UK, but Americans, you can get it at Target. Hallelujah. Next, I'm using Kevyn Aucoin, what is this stuff called? Sensual Skin Enhancer. And I'm going to be using this for a little bit more coverage than I usually go for. Like I said, I'm going to be covering up the freckles, so I'm going to cover a bigger area, first applying it with my finger, and then I'm going to be going back and blending it with the Beauty Blender after Fix Plusing my face to death. I've actually been getting a lot of really awesome feedback about you guys using beauty blenders for the first time, so I'm happy you guys have reached into the sponge world. I know it can be awkward to use, but honestly, I have hardly even used a face brush since I got one of these. Although, in the next step, I'm going to be using a face brush. Perfect timing to say that. I'm going to be mixing MAC Face and Body Foundation with a mixture that I have. This tube, I got it from MUJI, and I put inside Studio Sculpt Foundation in NC20 and NC30. Going to be squirting them both onto a palette, kind of even amounts. And I'm doing that to dilute the Studio Sculpt. I don't want it too full coverage. Using this AYU, this is a stippling brush, I'm going to be taking the mixture and stippling it onto my face, which means my hand is pretty close to the front of the brush, and I'm going to be taking it and popping it onto my face, not rubbing it, but patting it. This is going to maintain a more full coverage while not accentuating any lines or anything like that. I'm going to do my whole face with this, maybe do a couple layers depending on how much I need. This obviously is much more coverage than I would usually wear with the Studio Sculpt and with the Sensual Skin Enhancer and with all of that. But like I said, I wanted to cover up the majority of my freckles so that I could show you guys how to add them if you don't have any. Obviously, I'm not going to cover up my freckles completely, but I'm going to cover them up much more thoroughly than I usually do. So after I'm done with this step of buffing it on, I'm going to Fix Plus my face and then just take the Beauty Blender over what I just did just to kind of get rid of any possible lines that I might have. I'm so addicted to this thing for the skin, I just have to use it in every step no matter what. So here's the finished look with the foundations mixed. If you're going to be putting anything on your cheeks, now's the time to do it. So I'm just taking and popping on some MAC Mineralized Skinfinish in medium golden with the Spectrum Collection's angled, I guess this would be an angled powder brush. And finally comes the freckles. I'm using Inglot Duraline to dilute Anastasia Beverly Hills Dipbrow in blonde. And I'm going to be using a MAC 210 brush to apply this. So I'm just showing you guys how I put one drop of the Duraline inside the Dipbrow. Now I'm using the 210 brush to mix it around. This is the tiny 210 brush. It's a MAC eyeliner brush. And I'm going to be using this to first place the initial freckles that you guys are going to see. This whole process, you guys are going to see I do many, many layers. First, applying it, and then the Beauty Blender, you guessed it, using that to basically blend the freckles into the skin. Don't drag it across your face, only press it. I do this in many layers because obviously freckles, usually they're not just like perfect little spots on your face, and if you put them on and they stay that way, that's when they look really fake. So this way you're going to take them and start to kind of blur out the initial freckles, and then as I go I'm going to keep them more and more defined. But the first steps are just more to get like the background freckles, and then as I go I'm going to keep making them more and more defined. Obviously with the first layers too, your dots can be much less perfect and much larger, kind of messy. If they end up that way, it's okay, because when you take the Beauty Blender, you're really just going to be blending those into your skin anyways. Just doing a little bit on the nose here, and with this just make sure to lightly press it. You don't want to go too hard. So here you can see the side without freckles and the side with the initial freckle layer. Now I'm going to be going in adding more and more layers. This is probably like the next 5 minutes of this video is me just adding more and more layers of freckles, but you'll start seeing that they're going to start being more and more prominent, less blended. Here you go. So no freckles on this side yet, and then many layers on this side, but I'm still not done. Check it out. Here we go, super warp speed. So you can see the big blotches, blending it into the skin. Oh, I wanted to give you guys a side note too. Don't worry about getting this Dipbrow all over the Beauty Blender. When you clean it, it should come right out. I usually either use the Beauty Blender solid cleanser to clean it or dish soap. I usually prefer the solid cleanser since it's made for it and it doesn't really leave any residue, but dish soap also works. So here I'm showing you guys the forehead, how I'm doing that. So I'm definitely adding a bunch on the forehead, starting, like always, with the bigger dots, and then I'm going to go back and do really more particularly placed smaller dots. Something else to pay attention to too is I'm using not like a really dark brown gel. This is like a blonde, kind of like an ash gray color. This will give you a much more natural color than like a dark brown, for example. Also, if you guys end up making dots maybe that you think are too big or end up looking like you just got dirt on your face, you can easily get them off before this dries, or you can always cover it up with a little bit of your foundation that you use. Just take your foundation brush with a little bit of foundation on it from when you applied it and just go on top of it. No big deal. So finally, for the finishing touches, I'm just going back and adding those much smaller, much more prominent freckles on top of the many layers of freckles that I've already applied, just to get a little bit more intensity here, and then pretty much done with the whole freckly look. I hope you guys liked it. If you guys recreate it, make sure that you tag me on Instagram. I want to see your freckly faces for summer. Don't forget to like my video and subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching!